Hello and welcome to another Joker Reviews, and today we are going to be discussing one of my favorite deck building games, and that is Shards of Infinity. Shards of Infinity is a super simple game. It's a deck builder where you get to play with different factions and try and make the best deck possible. You're going to start off the game with 10 starter cards. These are going to include your crystals, which are worth 1 purchasing power each, your Infinity Shard, which is essentially how you're going to win the game a lot of the time, getting up to that infinite damage, your Blaster, which is worth 1 damage, and your Shard Reaction, which is going to scale and give you more purchasing power as you gain more mastery. In the base game, the faction that you choose to play doesn't really make too much of a difference, but in this case, we're using Tetra. This is how you track your life points right here with this little wheel, and how you track your mastery. When you start the game, the person who is starting will start at 0 mastery, and as it progresses around the table, the next person will have 1, the next person will have 2, and you'll track it like that. The object of the game is to take the cards that you start with and start the cycle of purchasing new cards. You will draw 5 cards from your deck to start the game, and you will look at how much purchasing power, how much damage you have. If you have purchasing power like this is 5 purchasing power. You will then take a look at the center row here, and you will decide which ones you want to purchase. This right here is the purchase value. So that's what you have to pay. You would then take this into your hand, as well as any of your cards that you use this turn, and throw them into a discard pile. Once your deck runs out, you will then shuffle your discard pile together and start drawing the new cards. Whenever you draw a card out of the market deck, you will then want to restock the market deck. Restock the center row from the market deck. There are 3 separate types of cards that you can purchase throughout the game. One will be champions. Champions have their own health. They remain on the board until they're destroyed. The next type of card are allies. Noted allies right here. They will be used and then discarded during that turn. So they may trigger other effects, and you use them and discard them. The third type of card is a mercenary. This is a mercenary. You can see by the red border here, it also says Mercenary Ally here. It'll say mercenary, and it'll say whatever the faction is with the ally. These can be used in 2 different ways. You can either purchase them and place them into your discard, or you could trigger them for one-time use, and then they get put to the bottom of the deck. Those are your options. Your goal is to assign all of this damage value that you can see here, this little red symbol here, and you want to apply that towards your opponents. That will eventually tick down on their life here. When they hit 0, you have lost. Well, 0, I guess, is a skull technically in this. So 1 and then skull, and you have lost. The other thing you're managing is mastery. There's always a way to increase your mastery every turn. By paying 1 cost, you can exhaust your champion and gain 1 mastery. That'll tick up. What's the point of gaining mastery? Well, mastery will trigger different tiered abilities. So in this case, the Infinity Shard, this is your primary win condition. If you get to 10 mastery, you now get 3 damage. 20 mastery, you get 5, and 30 damage, you get infinite. This is essentially allows you to just wipe out the rest of the game if you get to mastery. Get the 30 mastery. This one, you can see, normally has 2 purchasing power. If you get 5, it has 3 purchasing power, and at 15, it has 4 purchasing power. There will be tiered effects that some of the cards will have on the board. You can see this champion here, if you're at 10 mastery, you gain 5 instead of 3 damage when exhausting your champion. You're going to be building your deck up, shuffling, and using some of the abilities that some of these have that allow you to trash cards. A lot of the Wraith cards are able to trash cards out of your deck to get rid of some of the basic cards and keep more of the better cards. And you're going to go through that process until you're the last one standing. Let's go through an example turn. I'm going to put everything back in order. Okay, so these are the 5 cards I've drawn. I have 2 purchasing power with this one, 1 purchasing power here, 1 purchasing power here, and then a total of 3 damage. So you can see here, 3 damage. That gets applied towards the end. But I have 4 purchasing power, so I can look at the board here and decide what I want to purchase. I am going to spend this 4 purchasing power to buy the Thorn Zealot. Thorn Zealot's cool, allows you to draw a card, it has a unify ability. If you have another Undergrowth ally on the board, or you reveal it from your hand, and it's able to block. This means if you reveal it from your hand, it can block 3 damage. It gets to stay in your hand, you still get to play it on your turn, but as long as it's in your hand while the attack is happening. So I'm going to purchase that, and I'm going to use my other purchasing power that's left over to go up 1 mastery. Here, I'm using the pay to exhaust ability here. Then I'm going to assign my damage to the other player. 1 damage, 2 more damage, so 3 total damage is going to go to my opponent, and they're going to tick down their counter. That's an example turn. Going to replenish this, and you pretty much just do that back and forth until somebody wins. Now that you know how to play the game, I'm going to meet you back up top for my final thoughts. Now that you know how to play the game, I'm going to discuss my final thoughts on it. Shards of Infinity is a great deck building game. It has the extra mechanics that come along with it, being able to have the mastery tracker. It has some interesting little flavor things like the unity bonuses and what was it called, Dominion, and being able to have those little extra flavor aspects that aren't present in a lot of other deck building games is pretty good. I like the factions, how they're all pretty different, and they all have different play styles that they are geared towards, and you can kind of mix and match them in interesting ways. The one thing I will say is I tend to gravitate towards using the green cards, which is the Overgrowth cards, which are the ones that do a lot of healing, but they can also do some damage. And they're the ones that have a lot of those effects that if you have multiple ones on the board. And I do tend to like that faction. The one that I tend to steer away from in this game is the Wraith. I just don't think it plays as well in this game as it does, as that same kind of archetype plays in other games like a Star Realms or a Hero Realms or something like that. I feel like those direct attack cards, the equivalent in Star Realms would probably be the Blobs. They seem to be more effective at what they're trying to do than the Wraiths are in this game, but they are still a useful faction. If you want to build a strategy around them, you can make one work. The blue cards, which what are called Order, those are interesting because they're a lot of draw extra cards. They have a lot of blocking. They have ones that play with your mastery tracker a lot. And I think the most interesting one is the gray. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember what they're called, but the robot ones. Those are the ones that have the most interesting effects, and they have the most interesting engine once you get it going. I just think you have to do a decent investment into them to get the engine going, and you have to make sure that you're seeing the right cards when they come out. Overall, it's a fun game. It's not particularly expensive. There's already 2 expansions out. There's already 3 expansions out, 2 of which I've already tried. There is a decent amount of flavor to it. There's a lot of cards. There's a lot of variety when you play this game. I would definitely recommend it. It's table friendly. It's family friendly, easy to teach, easy to learn. And yeah, so it gets my recommendation. So if you like these kind of review videos, these how to play videos, and please like that video. Leave a comment down below. Have you played you played Shards of Infinity? And do you think that this ranks up there with those other deck building games that are out there, like a Star Realms, which is probably the one that I've played the most, which is why it's on the top of my head right now? Let me know down below which other deck building games you like to play. Are you just an OG? Do you like just playing Dominion? Or do you like playing more of these card-friendly ones that have less of the set piles like Dominion has and more of the market deck kind of a mechanic? Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these going forward, and ring that bell so you know what's up, and I'll catch you in the next one.